So we're in Newquay today on a dolphin spotting boat. This is our third time, and the first two we didn't see anything, so we're fingers crossed we will see something today.
Okay, good afternoon everybody, welcome aboard the Charisma. Fran is on deck with you today, my name's Andy. This boat's registered with the Maritime and Coast Guard Agency, it's service maintained, inspected, it carries the appropriate safety equipment. Life rafts upon the roof would launch themselves were they ever required. There are life jackets in lockers to the front. If you're not routinely wearing them, you will though be shown how to put one on correctly. While we're out, feel free to be on your feet, move around as you wish, just give each other a respect of personal space where needed. And a quick reminder, there's no smoking or vaping permitted on board. Now on a boat trip like this, it's a case of keeping a sharp eye for any wildlife that may come our way. If you see something or even think you have, say so. We never know what's out and about, where anything's going to be, so give us a shout. Fran will soon show you life jackets and the way on.
I'll just show you how to put on a life jacket up here. These are solid foam, they're easy to use. Put one over your head and secure the buckle and you will float because they are inherently buoyant. So squeeze to undo the buckle, take it out from the little retaining loop. Give yourself some slack on that line, and the jacket goes over your head. Arm through the left side so the strap comes right the way around your back, under both arms, all the way around. Clip at the front, gather any loose slack, put on the loose end, make sure it's nice and tight. They each carry a whistle to attract attention in the water. You need to do so, and the emergency exits are with the boat. Now you're welcome to move around as you like, but at the front, well, there will be a life raft. There will at the front, you're welcome to move around as you like, but if you are stood up at the front, it's quite important you just stay to either side, and that's so Andy can see where he's driving. So you'll find a sit down in here, and move across.
Stand there and do that?
Like not Titanic. You can do it at the back, and at the sides, just not in the middle. I'll give you a shout. You don't need one on board. We only sort of show you how to use it, but it's nothing to worry about. I've never been on a boat before. We've never had to.
It's absolutely beautiful day. It's 21 degrees at the moment and it's 12:30. So the last boatload of people saw some dolphins and a seal, so with fingers crossed. I've always wanted to swim with them, so I might jump in.
Yeah. I'll film you.
Thanks. Sorry, hashtag.
Another one.
Hello, doggy. Yeah.
Is it film for your personal use or is it?
Okay, so you get
It's
to the way. We're going to start with a little background history of Newquay and its origins. The quayside
We've
was
just started one, so hopefully, you never know.
Project developed
We want to travel.
by merchants and ship owners, thus creating
My
harbour
mum's
space for their
very
vessels.
elderly.
They were global
We're trying to
traders
go
running
too
large
far at
sailing
the
ships,
moment,
some of which would have been
we
towards the
want to go to
150,
Thailand, Indonesia,
200 ton marker, and from here they'd get out all over the world,
Film it.
ranging well into the Far East, Australia, and lots of South
Never
American
ever wanted
work.
to go to those places.
Take a look at Newquay, think
until
along the
we've
lines of it as a miniature
until she's
international
watched
port
these
really of the mid-19th
that go all
century,
sorts of
everything you'd
places.
expect in there.
I'll be like,
Just
we're
more
never
than
going
used
to
to for the
Thailand.
concept.
Or anywhere like
On the
that.
quayside, people
Now,
associate with the very
having
name of the
seen
town,
they go
that's
off track.
understandable.
Yeah.
But
They
the
don't
actual
go to
key that
fancy
features in the
hotels.
name
Well, sometimes they
Newquay
do, don't they?
is the little
They
one
just
to
go
our right
everywhere.
now. This is the original
Which
one,
is inspired
installed by
tourism.
fishermen when we first moved
Well,
here.
they've done all
Before
sorts of
there was
doorways.
no town, and they'd lived in a settlement that used to be at the far end of the bay and has long since disappeared. There was a pile of rocks to put boats behind, in Welsh referred to as
Life
Cymoedd. The new key it translates as, and it's a name that stuck as the town developed. So the origins are in fishing. Well, the town itself has come off the back of the mid-19th century seafaring trade, and from the same time frame, shipbuilding. Now, the shipbuilding industry in Newquay was hosted upon the beaches ahead of us, straight upon the sand. The high tide nowadays covers this, it didn't used to. Erosion has significantly lowered the levels in the interim period. 6 businesses built up to 13 ships at a time, with 200 launched across about a 100-year time frame. It was all carpentry done with hand tools, utilising local oak and in later years Canadian softwood. It was labour intensive, it drew people into the area for work, to such an extent that in the 1860s and 70s, Newquay would have been absolutely packed, with houses under multi-occupancy tenancy, 3 or 4 families a house, making for some pretty crowded and cramped conditions. The town was so busy that at one stage, it was supporting 16 pubs. Now as you move on to the latter part of the 19th century, there's a lot of social, economic and technological change. Iron and steel comes in to replace the wood as the material of choice for ships. You really can't do the steel work on the beach. So the trade has lost their way to industrial dockyards like Birkenhead and Clydeside, and big steamships replace the days of sail ships just too big for a harbour like this. The work disappears and people start to leave town. Now lots of people would go to cities, and more would choose to emigrate. And that's a common thing in West Coast Britain amongst the small ports, is 19th century emigration and people leaving places that, just like Newquay, were losing their core industries. Now steamship companies were onto this. They'd go from port to port, pick up the passengers as they went, before finally departing the UK, with the USA the local destination of choice. So sailing day would arrive, and out here in the bay would have a steamship and people would be ferried out to it. The impact on the town is such that in a morning potentially the population of 3 or 4 streets could pack up and leave at once, so a couple of
I hope
sailors
you can hear that
quite a dramatic
and not
effect.
just hear.
You never see these people again, or population levels like it. Nowadays, of course, very much a tourism-based economy, which is seasonal in its nature. The boat traffic is dominated by tour boats like we're on now. Up to 8 of these will operate throughout the summer months, 6 commercial fishing boats, and a wide array of private leisure craft.
So, like I said, it's quite warm today, and it's a bit choppier than I thought it would be, but hopefully with the sun it'll bring the dolphins to the surface. And this is Newquay, Wales, not Cornwall. And it's an absolutely beautiful, beautiful little place. Definitely worth a visit if you're thinking of coming to Midwest Wales. So, just a reminder, we're going to the circus tomorrow. Whoop. How long are you here till?
Sorry?
How long are you here till?
Till Saturday.
Brilliant. Nice.
Yeah. With a scorch in the next 2 days, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it's supposed to be 27, isn't it? Yeah. 21 today, 27 the next 2. Yeah. Get your bikinis on.
I don't think so.
So the shoreline around the bay is a much lower level than it was in those shipbuilding days, and this is of course down to erosion. But it's not the beaches washing away, it's the actual backdrop itself, a material known as boulder clay. The boulder clay is what's known as a glacial till. It's the stuff crushed beneath glacial ice during the last ice age. A muddy and clay-like substance has all the characteristics of concrete in the summer sunshine and porridge in the wet of winter. Washes away readily and has been eroding for some 12 to 15,000 years. Now when left by the retreating ice, this low-lying land would have filled the bays and stretched to sea. Over millennia, rising sea levels have pushed it back, and eventually the sea will cut into the area where the caravans are. Now it's a slow process, and it doesn't take any great chunks at once. We get an idea of the mechanics of it by looking along the beach back towards Newquay. There you come across the low-lying trees and shrubs. They didn't grow down at beach level, they slid down the bank to get where they are, and eventually the sea will kill them off. There's a couple of houses gone over the years and the caravan site is starting to sink, and just occasionally you have to retire the odd pitch from service. This erosion created the bay. It's also got people to abandon the original settlement, move across and create what would ultimately become Newquay. Now that original settlement used to be to our right off the end of the beach there, on and around a peninsula of land that's in the past extended to sea across our path, dividing the 2 bays and protecting the bay next door from the prevailing westerly weather. It's the loss of this land to erosion that from about 1680, you got a few people make that move across the bay, take a little quayside, and over a period of time Newquay develops to what we have now. Although the vast majority of it is of sort of early to mid 19th century construction.
Can you hear through that? What's that bay called then?
I don't know.
What's that bay called that he was just saying about?
Tie back.
Oh, that's Kai back. Saw that on the way in. Thank
The
you.
beach beyond it, yeah. Yeah, they were actually yesterday. They were in the harbour itself.
Oh. The lady on the boat said they were in the harbour yesterday. We've often seen them. Well, we've only seen them in the harbour.
Is that meant to be looking at you?
We've often seen them in the harbour, but never on a boat. So we're hoping this is the first time. Yeah, they come into the harbour. Obviously, when the tide's in. From the wall, we've seen dolphins and seal. So we're hoping today for
Yeah, no, it's actually
a few at least.
Okay, good afternoon everyone. So on these trips we're on the lookout for any wildlife that may come our way. But above all else, it's bottlenose dolphin that we have here as a species of dolphin. And we do have one of the largest populations of bottlenose in Britain here. We're really fortunate. It's a great habitat for them locally. And we've got abundant fish stocks in Cardigan Bay, in a variety of species, keep them nice and well fed. And they themselves are one of our local apex predators. It means that nothing's hunting them and they can be very confident. And in fact, they do quite regularly come into the harbour itself, fishing amongst the moorings within a few metres of the rocks at the end of the pier, even the swimming area occasionally at the higher tide. Know where the things are going. And also when they are out at sea, they're in a playful mood, they do quite regularly approach boats to have a play, sail ride, or just to have a look at us and calm. They're quite a curious species generally. So when we're trying to spot bottlenose dolphin, we're looking at that large triangular dorsal fin coming up out of the water on the back of the dolphin. Dark grey to black in colour. You might also see a mist of seed spray as they surface. What they're doing is they're coming up to breathe. First thing they do is exhale, and that clears the blowhole of any water. And that can spray up on the surface. Nice to catch the light and the like today. That then allows them to take in a breath of air before they go back below the waist. Like us, then mammals breathing the air. Although they will sometimes surface also to jump out of the water if they're in a playful mood. We've got a local population between 30 and 40 that are here every year. We get to recognised by the bill ticket. But a whole of Cardigan Bay is estimated to have about 200 dolphins in any, well, bottlenose dolphins, in any given year. It's every resident population. So spring, summer and autumn months, so we get to see pretty much every day. Winter time they do disperse following seasonal fish which head out of the bay. They will leave the bay for weeks at a time and they will just be dispersing across the bay, covering a wider area to catch enough fish. In the winter, sightings drop down to a few a month, but at that time we then get to see smaller cousins a bit closer in, the harbour porpoise. The harbour porpoise are another toothed whale, much smaller than the bottlenose dolphin however, and they are a lot more timid, especially around here, because they're trying to stay out of the way of our bottlenose, which is quite an aggressive species, and they will be such small indications if they can catch them. So the porpoise we do see in the wind picking the porpoise, but this time of year they're a bit further out, several miles offshore into the central area of the bay, while our bottlenose dolphins tend to have the coastline. The Atlantic grey seal is a fur-bearing mammal which is also breeding locally. So larger of the two seal species with the longer dog-shaped snout. And they are visible in the water fishing throughout days and nights, and then sometimes over calmer weather at low tide they will haul out to the smooth on the rock. I'll point out popular haul out points for seals around the corner as we pass our seabird colony, but there's ideal for any heads bobbing up in the water as well. We become one of the last strips of now. Around the fish factory and then along the coast there. So throughout this trip we've got the potential to spot fins, seals, anything else that may come our way. So do point out if you think you spot something. Everything's wild and free here, but it goes where it wants to, so you can never guarantee seeing anything. But we do follow a route taking us through the local hotspots for the dolphins, and we'll keep doing those. We'll just make sure we don't miss anything out and about.
Fingers
As we go,
crossed.
do you think if you've got any questions, I will make my way around deck and you can ask questions as we go as well. Keep those eyes peeled. And enjoy your time out on the sea, everyone.
Come on, dolphins, show yourselves. On the hill. It really is a beautiful little sort of town, is it? It's got some nice touristy shops and what have you, and the fish and chips are delicious, and it's just a really beautiful little place. There's also a couple of lovely beaches. One is dog friendly, so that's handy. And there's quite a lot of people in the by the wall. It's called the wall because it's just a long wall, and everybody knows it as the wall, and that's where people stand to watch the dolphins.
And volunteers come and watch them.
Yeah, you get volunteers sitting on top of the wall, trying to spot the local wildlife, obviously the dolphins, just so they can log it. I'm hoping you can actually hear me. I've bought some external microphones, so hopefully that'll help. They're due today or tomorrow, so I'll be using those in the future, so hopefully that'll help with the audio.
Should be over by the coast because it's so windy.
Yeah. Bloody freezing. It's 21 degrees, but it's a little bit nippy at sea.